This is Kong, and after years of grinding, saving, and sacrificing, he finally achieved the American dream. He bought his first home in a quiet, rural neighborhood in Northern Virginia. It was absolutely perfect. No traffic, no sirens, just the sound of nature. He thought he had finally won the game. But then, the construction started. Just a few hundred meters down the road, the peace was shattered. Kong had read about them in the news, but he never thought the nightmare would arrive at his doorstep. A massive, windowless, concrete AI data center was being built right next to his family's new sanctuary. For months, they endured the relentless racket of heavy machinery, excavators, and dust. Kong thought to himself, once the building is finished, things will go back to normal. He was completely wrong. Because when the AI data center finally sprung to life, the real horror truly began. Month after month, Kong watches his utility bills skyrocket, 20% higher, then 30% higher, with absolutely no end in sight. The cost of basic survival is suffocating his bank account. But the financial strain isn't even the worst part. The real nightmare happens at night. Every single night, Kong lays in bed staring at the ceiling, completely unable to fall asleep. Because right outside, thousands of servers, hard drives, and industrial cooling fans hum without end. It's a relentless, low-frequency drone, a mechanical vibration that you can literally feel in your bones. It penetrates the walls. Kong is forced to spend $20,000 on heavy insulation and new soundproof windows, a small fortune completely wiped out just trying to buy back the silence that was stolen from him. But then, the news breaks, and Kong's heart absolutely sinks into his stomach. 3 more massive data centers are slated for construction right in his neighborhood, and hundreds more popping up like a plague across the entire country. Kong is furious. His neighbors are furious. Their property values are threatened, their lives disrupted. But what exactly is an AI data center? Why are they suddenly everywhere? And who pays the real price? This is the AI data center boom explained, and it is worse than you think. First, we need to understand the difference between an old-school data center and an AI facility. Without getting too technical, think of a traditional data center like a public library. A library stores books. When you want information, it hands you the exact book. It stores data for retrieval. But an AI data center is entirely different. It is basically a gargantuan mechanical brain. It isn't just storing things, it is performing millions of brutal calculations every single second. It is training complex algorithms, generating fake images, deepfake videos, and raw code in real time. This fundamental difference in functionality is exactly what destroys the lives of people like Kong. Simply storing a file takes very little energy, but generating original material from scratch? That requires an astronomical, almost incomprehensible amount of electricity. To put this in perspective, a single AI server rack uses between 5 and 20 times more power than a traditional one. That means one single rack of AI hardware consumes the electricity of 80 full households. And remember, these data centers aren't small. They're the size of massive Amazon warehouses. They hold hundreds, sometimes thousands of these monstrous AI racks under one roof. But with this godlike amount of power draw, electricity isn't even the scariest problem. The real threat is heat. If you've ever run a heavy video game on a weak PC, you know exactly what happens. It turns into an oven. Now, multiply that heat by tens of thousands of extreme industrial GPUs running 24/7. These buildings generate so much thermal energy, they are creating localized global warming in their neighborhoods. All of this destruction, all of this power, just to pump out completely useless AI-generated brain rot on the internet. Fake artwork, spam articles, and hallucinogenic chatbots that nobody actually asked for. The infrastructure demands are so insane, companies can't just rent old warehouses anymore. They are forced to build entirely new facilities from scratch, custom designed for insane cooling demands. So if these things are so unbelievably expensive and so universally hated, why are they building so many? Because we are currently trapped in a manic, desperate AI gold rush. Megacorps like Microsoft, Google, and Meta are pouring literally trillions of dollars into infrastructure. They are terrified of being left behind by their competitors. It's blind panic buying at a corporate scale. But to everyone outside Silicon Valley, this AI hype feels exactly like that. Just hype, a massive bubble. Even OpenAI, the poster child of the industry, admits they probably won't be profitable until 2030. Massive investments keep pouring in, with absolutely zero profits to show for it. It feels like a massive financial disaster waiting to happen. But the megacorps don't care. They want AI in absolutely everything, and they want it right now, regardless if the consumer actually asked for it. Just look at Microsoft. They invested $80 billion just to shove a completely useless and potentially invasive AI assistant into Windows. Google is dropping $75 billion. Meta is spending $64 billion. Over the next 5 years, analysts predict a toe-curling $3 trillion will be poured into AI. In the US jungle alone, investigators have tracked over 1,200 active data centers. That's nearly 4 times the number we had in 2010. And they're clustering together, because in the AI gold rush, location is everything. Once one company sets up shop near a power grid, the rest swarm in. But here's the dirty secret the megacorps try to hide. All that computing power requires a massive expansion of the electrical grid. Energy companies are being forced to build entirely new power plants just to keep up with this insane artificial demand from the tech giants. And expanding power grids costs hundreds of billions of dollars. Guess who pays the bill for all this new infrastructure? It's not the megacorps, it's Kong, it's you. The cost is passed directly onto the common consumer, raising regular electric bills by as much as 50%. You are literally subsidizing the infrastructure for an AI revolution that is actively trying to take your job. But wait, it gets worse. Remember that massive localized heating problem? These data centers solve it by using industrial amounts of drinking water for cooling. A single large AI data center can guzzle up to 5 million gallons of clean water every single day. That's enough to support a small city. What is completely terrifying is that nearly half of these facilities are being built in areas that already suffer from severe water scarcity. Companies like Microsoft and Google are building massive data centers in places like Arizona and Texas, draining resources in active drought zones. But hold on a minute. Didn't all these tech giants publicly pledge to be water positive and sustainable by 2030? Yes, they did. But it's a complete illusion. They achieve this through a shady, complex system called water credits. Basically, they pay a farmer in another state not to water his crops. Then they claim that saved water balances out the millions of gallons they're guzzling. Yeah, because depriving a farm of water completely fixes the local drought caused by an AI server rack. Sure, Jan. Meanwhile, normal residents like Kong face the impossible reality of utility bills that simply climb forever. But the nightmare doesn't stop at the mailbox. Because AI data centers must work flawlessly round the clock, they require hundreds of massive backup generators. And those generators, they run on heavy diesel fuel. Every time they cycle on, a toxic cloud rolls into the neighborhood. Kong has become all too familiar with the harsh chemical smell every time he tries to open his windows for fresh air. He constantly worries about his young cubs breathing in these micropollutants while playing in their own backyard. You might think the government strictly regulates this, but in many areas, data centers only need to file basic air quality permits. No deep environmental impact studies, no community input meetings, just a signed piece of paper and they're good to build a monster. In fact, these air quality permits are often the only public record that a data center is even being constructed. Journalist monkeys use them to track the megacorps because these tech giants intentionally hide their projects behind anonymous shell companies. Beyond the noise and air pollution, these facilities are lit up like Super Bowl stadiums 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. High-intensity security floodlights constantly bleed straight into residential areas. The natural darkness of the night sky is completely erased. For rural communities that used to enjoy quiet, starry nights, it suddenly feels like living next to a maximum security prison. And don't forget the endless convoy of heavy diesel trucks. constant deliveries of equipment, hardware, and maintenance supplies. Roads that were built for quiet suburban families are now clogged and physically destroyed by massive industrial vehicles. It creates extreme traffic congestion and severe safety hazards for kids just trying to ride their bikes. It's exactly like living next to a brutal construction site that never sleeps and, worst of all, never finishes. Kong's neighborhood used to be a peaceful sanctuary. Now it is the literal battlefield for the megacorp's AI arms race. But Kong and his neighbors are not taking this lying down. The power imbalance is massive, but they are fighting back. The tech giants arrive with armies of ruthless lawyers, highly paid lobbyists, and billions of dollars in cash. They force local town councils into strict NDAs, silencing elected officials with the promise of tax revenue. Meanwhile, locals like Kong are fighting for their homes with weekend town halls, bake sales, and GoFundMe pages. It's a classic David versus Goliath story, but this time Goliath has unlimited server capacity and controls the algorithm. And the fallout isn't just local. Everyone watching this video is already paying for the AI data center boom. The astronomical demand for server parts is driving up the price of RAM and semiconductors globally, which means every smart device, laptop, and phone the end consumer buys is going to become significantly more expensive. You are paying for their infrastructure. You are paying with your electricity rates, your water supply, and your peace of mind, all to fund a futuristic AI dystopia that nobody voted for and very few people actually want. But hope is not entirely lost, because in towns across the country, the pushback is actually starting to work. Communities are demanding transparent environmental assessments before a single shovel hits the dirt. And because of this relentless localized pressure, up to $64 billion worth of data center projects had been paused or delayed. Even the megacores are being forced to think twice. But the war is far from over. But let's be totally real for a second. The power imbalance in this fight is still absolutely massive. Tech giants have infinite resources to throw at any problem. They can afford to lose millions just stalling in court. Locals like Kong are fighting back with weekend bake sales and neighborhood GoFundMe pages. So what can you actually do? First, start paying extreme attention to your local zoning meetings. Show up, demand radical transparency. Make them answer exactly what is being built, not just a data warehouse. Demand that environmental impact studies are forced through before any permits are blindly approved. Because if you don't speak up, the megacores will absolutely take your silence as permission. It's a free jungle, right? You can choose to ignore this video and swipe to the next distraction. But just remember, one day it might be you staring down a utility bill that never stops rising. It might be you comforting your terrified kids who can't sleep through the industrial vibrations. You might be the one never seeing a truly dark, starry night sky from your own backyard ever again. The AI revolution is happening whether we like it or not, but it should not be built on the backs of the working class. Kong never asked for an AI chatbot to write his emails or generate fake pictures of hands. He just wanted a quiet backyard for his family and a fair price for his electricity. We absolutely need technological progress, but not at the expense of our fundamental human needs. It is time to make the megacores pay for their own infrastructure instead of passing the bill to us. They need to stop privatizing the profits while socializing all of the massive hidden costs. This is your wake-up call to protect your local community before the concrete is poured. Because once that windowless monster is built down the street, it is already too late. If Kong's story opened your eyes to this invisible dystopian crisis happening right now, hit that subscribe button and smash the like button to force the algorithm to show this to more people. The tech giants have billions of dollars in marketing, but we have numbers. Share this video with your neighbors, your family, and your local community groups. The more people who know the ugly truth, the harder it is for them to hide in the shadows. Let me know in the comments right now, is there a massive data center being built near your town? Kong reads every single comment. We need to map this out and expose it together. We are building a community of smart, awake, and unbrainwashed individuals. We will not let the megacores destroy our peace for their profit. Stay loud, stay informed, and fiercely protect your home. Kong will see you in the next video where we expose the next massive scam.